You're leaning on the rail up on deck 9, coffee going cold in your hand, watching the ship swing its nose in toward the dock. And there it is again, on your phone. That screenshot your brother-in-law sent you at 2 a.m. with about 6 exclamation points on it. 7 dangerous cruise ports. Stay far, far away. And if you scroll down past the little skull, number 3 is the port your ship is going to tie up at in about 40 minutes. So now you've got a decision to make before that gangway drops. Do you spend the whole day locked up on the pool deck eating a $9 hamburger, staring down at a place you flew 1,000 miles and paid good money to see? Or do you actually go? Here's the thing about that list your brother-in-law sent you. Most of it is fear sold by the pound. There's an entire industry that makes its money making you scared of the world. And cruise ports are its favorite product because a cruise passenger is a nervous passenger a long way from home with a credit card in his pocket. But, and this is the part those lists never get right, not all of it is nonsense. A couple of these ports genuinely deserve the warning. One of them, I'd tell my own family to skip. The whole game is telling the difference. And the people cranking out those thumbnails can't. They're reading the exact same headline you are. I've stepped off onto a few dozen of these docks over the years. I've been to the ones that were exactly as advertised, and the ones where the scariest thing that happened all day was the sunburn. And I've learned to read the signals that actually matter, not the color of the advisory, not the thumbnail, where the cruise lines quietly route their own ships. That tells you more than any government website ever will. So let me walk you through the ports people are telling you to run from in 2026. I'll tell you which ones have earned it, which ones are just poor and unfamiliar and therefore an easy target for a scary headline, and, stay with me for this one especially, the single thing that is far more likely to wreck your day in port than any gang or cartel you've ever been warned about. It's not in a bad neighborhood. It's sitting right there on the pretty beach, and somebody's going to try to rent it to you the second you step off the ship. Let's start with the one that actually earns the title. But first, one thing that'll save you a lot of worry, because it's the tool everybody references and almost nobody actually understands. The U.S. State Department rates countries on 4 levels. Level 1, go about your business. Level 2, pay a little more attention than you would at home. Level 3, reconsider the trip. Level 4, do not go, full stop. Sounds simple. Here's what the scary videos leave out. Most of the interesting places on Earth sit at level 2. France is level 2. Italy, the UK, Spain, all level 2. Nobody makes a thumbnail about the dangerous port of Barcelona, and Barcelona will pick your pocket cleaner than almost anywhere on this list. So when somebody tells you in a spooky voice that a Caribbean island is level 2, what they're really telling you is that it's rated exactly as dangerous as a trip to Rome. And there's a second thing. These advisories are blunt instruments. They cover a whole country, and a whole country is a big place. The dangerous part is almost always one specific neighborhood in one specific city, and the cruise port is almost never in it. So the honest question is never, is this country dangerous? It's, is the 2 square miles around where my ship ties up dangerous? And what happens if I wander out of it? Hold on to that. It's the difference between the real world and the brochure the fear channels are selling. Now, the ports. Number 1, and I'm putting it first on purpose, because I don't want you thinking I'm the guy who just tells you everything's fine. Haiti, specifically Labadee. that walled-off slice of private beach up on the north coast that Royal Caribbean has been selling for decades as a Caribbean paradise. Zip lines, a nice beach, a barbecue, all of it behind a fence with a private security force, and guests are not allowed to leave. That fence should tell you something. Haiti is level 4. Do not travel. Not reconsider. Do not go for any reason. The country has been under a state of emergency since early 2024. The capital, Port-au-Prince, has been effectively taken apart by armed gangs. There was a mass prison break. Thousands of people walked out. Kidnapping for ransom is a functioning business over there. This is not a headline that got puffed up for clicks. This is one of the genuinely broken places in the hemisphere right now, and I say that with nothing but sadness for the Haitians living through it, because the ordinary people there deserve so much better than what's happening to them. Now here's the signal I told you to watch for. Labadee sits about 130 miles from the capital, a 6-hour drive out on a peninsula behind that wall with its own guards. For years, the cruise line kept calling there, arguing the bubble was safe even when the country wasn't. And then, quietly, they stopped. Royal Caribbean, the only line that ever went to Haiti, the company that built the wall and makes money every single time a ship pulls in, suspended all visits through 2026. Think about that for a second. When the people whose entire business is telling you a place is safe decide their own private, guarded, walled-off beach isn't worth the risk anymore, you don't need a government website to sort this one out. That's your answer. If your 2026 itinerary somehow still lists Haiti, that's the one on this whole list where stay far away is just plainly the truth. Number 2, Trinidad. And this one's real too, though it's more complicated than Haiti. Port of Spain, the capital, is where the ships dock, and Trinidad and Tobago is sitting at level 3 right now. Reconsider travel. In March of 2026, the government declared a nationwide state of emergency because the violence spiked hard. We're talking about a country of roughly 1.5 million people that logged north of 600 murders in a single recent year. Run that math and you get a murder rate up around 40 per 100,000, one of the worst in this half of the world. Most of it is gang-related, concentrated in specific neighborhoods of the capital with names the locals know to steer clear of. Laventil, Beetham, Sealots. Here's the part that should make you sit up, and it's the kind of detail those lists never bother to check. Where does the cruise ship actually tie up in Port of Spain? Downtown, the waterfront, right by Independence Square. And downtown Port of Spain, that exact stretch, is on the list of places the U.S. government forbids its own employees from walking into. Canada's travel advisory goes a step further and specifically tells its people to be careful right around the cruise ship docks, not the country in general. The docks, where you're standing. So this is not a place to do what you do in Cozumel, which is shrug, stroll off the ship, and wander around downtown looking for a local lunch spot. In Port of Spain, if you go, you stay on an organized excursion. You head out into the island, the rainforest, the beaches up on the north coast, the bird sanctuary, which are genuinely worth seeing. And you do not go strolling around the blocks next to the terminal just because they look walkable. They are not the same city 2 streets over. Trinidad's a real one. Respect it. But notice, the cruise lines are still going. They pulled out of Haiti. They did not pull out of here. File that away because it matters, and we're coming back to it. All right, that's the 2 that earned their spot. Now I'm going to start letting the air out of this list, because from here on it gets a whole lot less scary than the thumbnail wants you to believe. Number 3, Belize. You'll see Belize City, Level 3, plastered all over these videos, said like it's a death sentence. Let me give you the honest version. Belize, the country, is level 2. Same as France, same as Italy. The reef, the little islands everybody actually goes to, San Pedro, Kai Kalker, the jungle, the Maya ruins, none of it carries any special warning at all. There is exactly one patch of level 3 in the entire country, and it's a specific residential chunk of Belize City called the South Side. Technically, it runs from Hallover Creek down to Faber's Road. That's it. That's the scary red zone. A few rough streets in the old port town, where the gang crime is, and where you have absolutely no reason to be. Belize recorded about 91 murders in all of 2025. Roughly half of them were in the Belize district, most of those inside the city itself. That's a real problem for the people who live there. It has almost nothing to do with your port day, because Belize City is a place you pass through, not a place you linger. You step off the ship, you get on the boat out to the reef. It's the second largest barrier reef on the planet, and it is spectacular. Or you head inland to the ruins at Altunha or Sunantunich. Nearly every bad story you'll ever hear about a tourist in Belize starts with somebody going somewhere they had no business going, usually alone, usually for the gram. So is Belize City a place to keep your wits about you? Sure. It's a working port town in a developing country. Treat it like one. Is it a port to stay far, far away from? Come on. That's the headline talking. The reef alone is worth the stop. Number 4. And this is the one that gets slandered the hardest, every single time. Jamaica. It's on every one of these lists, and the reputation is genuinely fearsome. So let me be straight with you, both directions. The bad news first, because I promised you honest. Jamaica does have serious violent crime. The State Department will tell you plainly that armed robberies and even sexual assaults happen, and that they can happen in tourist areas and even inside gated resorts. That's true, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There are communities there, Canterbury and Glendevin in Mobay, chunks of inner-city Kingston, where the murder rate is genuinely high, and you are never, ever going to be in them on a cruise. Because here's the thing, your ship isn't docking in inner-city Kingston, it's docking in Ocho Rios, or Falmouth, or the tourist side of Montego Bay, and those are essentially a different world. The cruise piers, the waterfall at Dunn's River, the resort strips. As of January 2026, the whole country got moved back down to level 2. Same as France, same as the Bahamas, same as Spain. After a hurricane tore up the western end of the island the previous fall and briefly bumped the warning up, it came right back down. Millions of people have a completely uneventful, wonderful day in Ocho Rios and never see so much as a hint of trouble. The reason Jamaica lands on every scary list isn't that a cruise passenger is in special danger there. It's that Jamaica has a name, a reputation you already had in your head before you ever looked at a map. And a name is exactly what a fear channel needs, because you already believe it, so they don't have to prove anything. The real Jamaica, the one on the north coast where you're actually going, is warm and funny and gorgeous and about as dangerous to you as a nice afternoon anywhere else. Don't take a random unlicensed cab into a neighborhood at night looking for adventure, and you have removed basically all of your risk. That's the whole safety briefing. Number 5. Roatán, Honduras. And this is my favorite example of how these lists lie by leaving things out, because both halves of the story are true at the exact same time. Honduras, the country, is one of the more violent places in this entire hemisphere. It's level 3. The mainland cities have spent time near the very top of the world's murder rate rankings. San Pedro Sula was once talked about as the murder capital of the planet. That is all real. That's why the word Honduras sets off alarm bells. But you are not going to the mainland. You're going to Roatán, an island about 40 miles off the coast, and it might as well be a different country. The Bay Islands, Roatán, Utila, Guanaja, are the one part of Honduras the State Department specifically points to as better policed, with resources concentrated there, because the whole economy is diving and cruise tourism and the local authorities know it. The reef is world class. The water is unreal. The ship pulls in at Coxon Hole or Mahogany Bay, and the whole operation is essentially a tourism bubble with real security wrapped around it. So where's the actual danger? It starts the moment you leave the bubble. If you take the ferry over to the mainland at La Ceiba, you are now in level 3 Honduras for real. If you go looking for something off the tourist track on the island itself, late, alone, you can find trouble like anywhere. But a normal Roatán port day, snorkeling, the beach at West Bay, a rum on the sand, is one of the safer, prettier stops in the whole Caribbean. This is the pattern, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The country is dangerous. The island where the ship actually goes is not. The headline uses the country's reputation to scare you about a place that reputation doesn't even describe. Roatán is not a port to avoid. It's a port to enjoy, with the very ordinary caveat that you don't go wandering off the map after dark, which, I hope you're noticing by now, is the same caveat for basically everywhere on Earth, including your own city. Number 6, Nassau, the Bahamas. And I've saved this one for right here on purpose, because it's where I get to make the point this whole video is really about. Nassau lands on the scary lists for gang violence, and yes, Nassau has gang violence. There's an area called Over the Hill, south of Shirley Street, where most of it happens. A couple of winters back, the U.S. Embassy put out an alert because the city saw 18 murders in just the first few weeks of the year. Sounds terrifying on a thumbnail. But read the actual alert, and it says the quiet part right out loud, that the violence is gang on gang, and it primarily affects the local population, not the 6 or 7 million tourists a year. The locals in neighborhoods you will never once set foot in. So the thing everybody's scared of in Nassau is the thing least likely to ever touch you. Meanwhile, and this is the whole point of the video, the thing that is genuinely, specifically, documented by the government dangerous to a cruise passenger in Nassau is something no scary list ever mentions, because it doesn't fit the story they're telling. It's the jet skis. I'm dead serious. The U.S. Embassy in Nassau has put out repeated warnings, 2024, 2025, and again in 2026, about jet ski operators on the public beaches, some of them renting unsafe equipment with no rules and no enforcement, which has led to serious accidents, people badly hurt, at least one American killed by an unlicensed operator out on the water. And worse than that, a documented pattern of women being lured onto a jet ski, taken off to an isolated little island, and assaulted. This is real enough that the U.S. government flat out forbids its own employees from renting a jet ski anywhere around Nassau and Paradise Island. Forbids it. So let that reset your whole idea of what danger means at a cruise port. It is almost never the scary neighborhood you saw on the news. It's the ordinary-looking rental stand on the pretty beach, run by nobody in particular, with no oversight at all. The gang you were warned about isn't coming for you. The guy renting the jet ski just might be the actual risk of your entire trip. Skip it. Number 7, and I'm rolling a few ports into this one because they all share the same story. The Mexican Pacific. Puerto Vallarta, Mazatlan, Ensenada. Mexico is going to be on every one of these lists forever because cartel is the single scariest word in all of travel. And Mexico plays a trick on you that most countries don't. The State Department doesn't rate Mexico as one country. It rates it state by state, all 32 of them, and the range is enormous. 6 states are level 4. Do not travel. The cartel-heavy ones like Sinaloa, Tamaulipas, Michoacán, and 2 states, Yucatan and Campeche, are level 1. The safest rating there is, safer on paper than a lot of Europe. That split is everything, and here's how it maps onto your cruise. The Caribbean side, Cozumel, Costa Maya, the Yucatan, is about as safe as cruising gets, anywhere. Cozumel is an island, 4 million passengers a year, no cartel routes running through it, police everywhere, an economy that lives and dies on you feeling comfortable. Genuinely one of the safest ports on the planet. Nobody should lose a minute of sleep over a Cozumel stop. The Pacific side is a different conversation. Puerto Vallarta sits in Jalisco, a level 3 state, and Mazatlan's in Sinaloa, which is level 4. The resort zones are carved out and heavily protected, and on a normal day, you're fine. But a normal day is doing a lot of work in that sentence. In February of 2026, a flare-up between the cartel and the government in Jalisco spilled straight into Puerto Vallarta. Vehicles burning, roadblocks going up, a shelter-in-place order, and cruise lines canceled their stops on the spot. Mazatlan has this history too. The lines pulled out of it for years before cautiously coming back. Now, the reassuring part, and it's true, the cartels are not hunting tourists. Targeting a cruise passenger brings down exactly the kind of government heat they do not want. The risk on the Pacific coast isn't that somebody comes for you, it's that you're standing in the wrong town on the wrong afternoon when something erupts that has absolutely nothing to do with you. It's not an everyday danger. It's a sudden one, and it's out of your hands, which is a genuinely different kind of thing to weigh. On the Yucatan side, I wouldn't think twice. On the Pacific side in 2026, I'd just keep half an eye on the news the week I sailed. So step back and look at what we've actually got here. 7 so-called dangerous ports. Exactly 1, Haiti, where stay away is honestly true. And even there, the cruise line itself already made that call for you. 1 more, Trinidad, that deserves real respect and a stay on the tour kind of discipline. And then 5 ports that range from perfectly fine to some of the best days you'll have on the entire trip, all of them wearing a scary label they mostly did not earn. So why does that list exist? Why does a fresh version of it come out every single year with a skull on the thumbnail? Follow the money, same as always. There is no money in telling you the honest thing. That most cruise ports are about as dangerous as a normal afternoon, and the real risk is a jet ski. There is a great deal of money in scaring you. Fear is one of the most reliable products on the whole internet. A scared person clicks. A scared person watches all the way to the end. And I'll be straight with you, because I'd be a hypocrite if I wasn't. Look at the title of the thing you're watching right now. That framing is bait. I used it because it's what gets a video like this in front of you in the first place. The only difference, the entire difference, is what I do once I've got your attention. I hand you the real picture instead of just cranking the fear up to 10 and leaving you there. And there's a second, quieter set of hands in your pocket, and it belongs to the cruise industry itself. A nervous passenger is a profitable passenger. A passenger who's been told the port is dangerous doesn't grab a $15 taxi and go find the little family restaurant the locals eat at. He books the ship's own excursion, the sanitized, marked up $120 version of the exact same day. Because it feels safe, because they've gently let him believe that out there, past the terminal gate, be dragons. The fear and the upsell fit together a little too neatly. I'm not telling you anyone's twirling a mustache in a back room. It's just quiet commercial logic, and it works on you if you never stop to see it. But here's what actually gets lost in all of it, and it's the part I really care about. It isn't the money, it's the country. People scare themselves right out of the real place. They fly 1,000 miles to Jamaica and spend the day up on the pool deck looking down at it through a railing. They take a whole living island, its food, its music, its people, its history, and reduce it to a red word on a government website and a screenshot their brother-in-law sent them. They trade the actual thing for the safe, curated, air-conditioned bubble, and then they call that a trip. And the real Jamaica, the real Belize, the real Roatán, just goes on being warm and complicated and genuinely worth knowing, right there on the other side of a fear they were sold and never once bothered to check. I'll tell you the thing I've learned crossing a few dozen of these borders, and it took me an embarrassingly long time to actually see it. Most of the time, when a place gets called dangerous, what's really being said is that it's poor and unfamiliar and not built for you. Those are three completely different things from dangerous, and we jam them all into the same word because it's easier than paying attention. Real danger exists. Haiti is real. The wrong afternoon in the wrong Mexican state is real. And you should take it seriously when it's there. But most of what gets sold to you as danger is just the ordinary friction of being somewhere that isn't home. In a country with less money than yours, where the streets weren't laid out for a tourist's comfort, and the quiet skill of a traveler, the thing that's worth more than any packing list is being able to tell the difference. Knowing when to genuinely stay away, and knowing when the only thing standing between you and a wonderful day is a fear somebody sold you and you never checked. One of those is wisdom. The other one is just letting a stranger with a thumbnail decide where you're allowed to go. So here's what I want you to actually walk away with. The stuff that'll serve you at any port, not just these 7. First, read the advisory yourself and read it by zone, not by headline. Level 2 is not scary. It's where most of the good places on Earth live, France included. And the dangerous part of any country is almost always one specific neighborhood, and your ship almost never docks in it. The real question is never, is this country dangerous? It's what happens if I leave the couple of square miles around the dock? And the honest answer to that changes everything. Second, watch what the cruise lines do, not what the fear channels say. When the company that makes money off a port quietly stops sending its own ships there, like Haiti, that is the most honest danger signal you will ever get. When they keep going, even to a level 3 place like Trinidad, that's telling you the risk is real but manageable with a little discipline. Third, and burn this one in. The danger at 90% of cruise ports is not a gang, and it's not a cartel. It's 4 boring things: the unlicensed taxi, or the unlicensed jet ski, wandering out past the tourist zone because it looked walkable, being out after dark, and flashing cash or a nice watch. Handle those four, book a real excursion in daylight, and you have eliminated most of the risk that actually exists, which was never the risk you were sold in the first place. And fourth, of everything on this list, the only port where stay far, far away is simply the truth in 2026 is Haiti. And even there, the cruise line already pulled out and made the choice for you. Everywhere else on that scary list is a spectrum, and most of it lands a whole lot closer to go than to run. Picture the next one. You're leaning on that rail again, the ship's easing in toward port, and the same screenshot is sitting there on your phone. Except now, it doesn't work on you. You can look at that red word and know exactly what it means, and exactly what it doesn't. You walk down the gangway, relaxed. You have the real day, in the real place, the reef, the market, the little restaurant with no sign that the guy at the port swore up and down was the best food on the island. And you get on the plane home with an actual memory of somewhere, instead of a photo of a swimming pool with a coastline blurry behind it. That's the whole difference right there. It isn't courage. It's just knowing how to read the map instead of being scared of it. So let me hear from you, because these are the comments I actually read, every single one. Which of these ports surprised you? Where did you step off the ship braced for something scary and find the exact opposite? And I especially want to hear the other direction. The port where something felt genuinely off, where your gut told you to get back to the ship, or where a local pulled you aside and told you the one street to skip that no guidebook ever mentioned. Those replies, the ones from people who've actually stood on these docks, are worth more than any advisory, and they're a big part of why I keep making these. Drop them below. And if you want the next one, subscribe so it lands in front of you, because I'm going after the flip side of all of this. Those private islands the cruise lines built, the walled-off paradise stops like the one in Haiti, with the perfect beach and the perfect barbecue and the fence you're not allowed to walk past. I want to show you who really owns that stretch of sand, why it sits exactly where it does, and what's actually on the other side of that wall, in the real country you flew right over the top of to get there. It's a stranger story than you'd think. Until then, read the advisory, ignore the thumbnail, and don't rent the jet ski. I'll see you at the next port.